It is 6 o'clock. I will call the March 12th, 2024 meeting of the Wythe County Board of Supervisors to order. We do have a quorum. This evening we have Reverend Paul Hicks from St. John's Episcopal Church to provide the invocation. If you would, please stand and remain standing for the pledge.
Members of the Board of Supervisors and Mayor Taylor and other distinguished guests, my name is Father Paul Hicks, and I'm here at St. John's Episcopal Church on Main Street. Quite an honor for you to ask me to come and say the invocation, so let us pray. Almighty God, who has given us this good county, commonwealth, and nation for our heritage, we humbly beseech Thee that we may always prove ourselves a people mindful of the favor and glad to do Thy will. Bless this county, our home, with honorable industry and sound learning. Heavenly Father, send down upon those who hold the office of Board of Supervisors in Wythe County the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people. Grant, O God, that your holy and life-giving spirit may so move every human heart, and especially the hearts of the people of this county, that barriers which divide us may crumble, suspicions disappear, and hatred cease, so that we may live in justice and peace. Fill our hearts with thankfulness, and let us never lose our trust in Thee. All which we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord and Savior, and pray in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, as always, the first item on our agenda is citizens' time. I will call you up and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Mr. Cook will keep the time. And the first person we have signed up is Miss Diane Ennis.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This essay was not written by me, but I thought it was thought-provoking. If you leave the gate open, the cow will wander off. So if you intentionally leave the gate open, you want the cow to wander off. You can't blame stupidity or laziness. It was intentional. If you cut police budgets, you will get more crime on the streets. So if you intentionally cut police budgets, you want more crime on the streets. If you cut back the supply of oil, gas prices will go up. If you intentionally cut back the supply of oil, you wanted gas prices to go up. If you print trillions of dollars without increasing the supply of goods, inflation will hit hard. So if you intentionally print trillions of dollars without more goods, you wanted inflation to hit hard. If you leave the southern border wide open, you get more drug trafficking and human trafficking. So if you intentionally leave the border wide open, you want more drug trafficking and human trafficking. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Ennis. The next person we have signed up is is it Vanessa Coke?
Good evening. How are you all?
Good evening.
I noticed on the new business that probably my questions might be answered once we get to that about the Mount Rogers Community Services purchase of the Trail Motel in the Grams Forge area. So I don't really know what to say at this point because I don't know what's going to be mentioned upcoming. So, you know, our main concern is the type of facility that it's going to be, hours of operation, as far as supervision, and, you know, what effect it might have on the people in the community.
You'll learn with us because we have no clue. We haven't.
That's what I was seeing, that it's on new business.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I don't really know what to say other than that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, with nobody else signed up to speak, I'll close citizens' time. The next item on our agenda is the payment of invoices. We do have a memorandum, I believe, from Mr. Hankins that 2 checks didn't make the check run. But each board member has received the other invoices that need to be paid in your board package. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the invoices along with the additional pay request as specified in the memo from Mr. Hankins.
Second.
All right, have a motion by Mr. Cook, a second by Mr. Smith. Is there any questions or discussion or any invoice any board member wants to pull out?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. The 450,800, is that one of the invoices that's not in there to be paid that we're going to vote on? Is that correct?
Yes.
Can we?
Yes, sir.
Can we pull that one to the side? I'm just a no vote on that because it's.
Everybody knows your no vote.
Exactly. So,
We'll pull it to the side.
thank you.
All right. Does anybody else have any? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Burnett?
Aye.
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 So approved. Now I'll entertain a motion for the Dream Seats deposit in the amount of $450,875.
So moved.
Have a motion by Ms. Lawson. Do I have a second? Second. Have a second by Mr. Burnett. Is there any questions or discussion on that one? All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Terry?
No.
Aye.
Aye.
So approved. Next item on the agenda is, and before we move on, Ms. Collins, I didn't get my invoices. Because if you forget, I know I'll forget. And none of them get paid then. All right, next item on the agenda is the minutes of our previous meeting from February the 27th, 2024. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Terry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Cook. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Moving on to old business, Mr. Barrett, Mr. Hankins, do we have anything under old business?
I do not have anything, sir.
I did not.
All right. Move on to new business. We have the Opioid Abatement Authority regional grant applications. The first one we have is the Virginia Department of Health. Megan Helmick.
Yes. Thank you guys for having me. I believe you guys received my letter and more information about the mobile unit that we're looking to purchase. So our request is for $47,361.34. If that is opioid money that you have, like direct distributions or gold standard or something that you would like to use, or if it is general funds or from another thing, we're not picky about what type of money it is, whatever you want. We are using that towards a match to submit a cooperative partnership application for OAA money. That will be with all 8 localities that make up the Mount Rogers Health District. So that is the city of Galax in Bristol, the counties of Carroll, Grayson, Wythe, Blaine, Smith, and Washington. All of the counties that I've spoken with so far, the cities have approved their proportion. We asked the amount based on the population of the locality in proportion to the population of the health district. So Wythe is a little larger because your population is a little larger. Washington is putting up the most, which is almost $100,000. It's $312,100 is the full ask to purchase the mobile unit, and we're dividing that by all 8 localities. The hope with this mobile unit is that we will be able to co-locate our public health services, so vaccinations, testing for Hep C, testing for HIV, also looking at possibly giving out Narcan and providing those services in areas that we are not able to go to right now because our health department is right next door. But we know that the county is larger than that, and we want to be able to serve the citizens of the county wherever they are. And so in addition to our public health services, we also are going to be co-locating the behavioral health services of Mount Rogers CSB, which they're also here tonight, on this mobile unit. So they'll be able to provide telehealth, telebehavioral health, psychiatric counseling, enrolling people and getting them in their services as well. So the hope is with the purchase of this and then the OAA grant to purchase a second one, we'll have 2 throughout the district, 4 days a week providing those services. So people from Ivanhoe, Speedwell, Max Meadows, Fort Chiswell, they don't have to come here. We can go there and provide those services for them. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Helmick?
I do not.
I've got one
Yeah.
on your comprehensive harm reduction program, or the services. Part of that program, is that the needle exchange?
That is in our Smith County Health Department. That will not be offered on our mobile units. We would have to submit a separate application, and at this time, there's no plans to provide that. So we may provide Narcan to individuals, we may provide drug test strips, so if they choose to use drugs, they can test their drugs to ensure they don't have fentanyl or xylazine in them, but we wouldn't be providing clean needles for them on the mobile units.
And when you say you would have to submit a separate grant, what?
There's just a separate application to get, to do comprehensive harm outside of like the physical brick and mortar building. So we would have to, through the Virginia Department of Health, which we are, we'd have to submit a second application to have our mobile units listed as that. Right now, we have no intentions of doing that at this time. However, if that becomes a need, then we would have to submit that applications and go through that process. But we would, if we did get there, we would talk with Stephen and the other county administrators and city administrators to see if that's something their county would want. We wouldn't do it in a county that wasn't supportive of it, so.
Well, and I've went on the record in the past, I'm morally opposed to it, and I've read both sides, I understand both sides, but that's kind of a determination of where my support lies
Yeah,
with this
absolutely.
product.
And we're not, on these mobile units, there's not needle exchange. It's Narcan, which is naloxone, opioid reversal drugs. It's drug test strips, and that's the extent of that, in addition to testing and providing vaccines to prevent disease.
Mr. Bear, is there a local match attached to this, or?
Yes, and that's what she's talking about. The local match on this is the $47,361.34 that's on page 51, I believe, of the package. The grant itself is for the second bus and the ongoing operations
Yes.
of that
Yes.
to get started.
This is a one-time ask for you all. We don't expect to come back and ask for any more of your money. We hope that the cooperative partnership with all 8 of the localities and the 2 CSBs and the health department will get funded, and then we'll get a share of the state OAA money to fully implement it. We also can generate revenue on our mobile units, so that's another way we're going to hopefully continue the sustainability. So we'll be able to bill for the services we provide, and the CSBs will be able to bill for the services they provide on it as well.
And if this is an item you all would like to discuss a little more in depth when we're doing budget discussions next week, we can do that. One item, the health department did return approximately $33,000 to us from last year's unspent funds. We have applied some of that towards some flooring project that y'all be talking about later, but we still have roughly $25,000 or whatever that could be used as part of the funds that go towards this. So.
And we are asking for this money for FY 24, and the application is due April 1st. So the other thing, in addition to the money, is just, I guess, I don't know if you guys need to do a motion, I think that's what Galax did, but like to allow Mr. Baer to sign on behalf of the county in support of the partnership application, so.
What's everybody's pleasure? Do you want to take action, or you want to look at it during budget next week?
I prefer to look at it next week.
I'd rather look at it next week.
Same here, sir.
I'm fine either way. So,
We start our budget.
I'm coming next
hearings-
week already,
Oh,
so.
yeah, okay, so, yeah.
I thought that was gonna be FY 25 discussion, that's why I was coming now
It
to talk
is.
about FY 24.
It is,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
because of the carryover and all that, we'll discuss both of those. So.
Because not everybody up here has seen the carryover numbers and all that, so, but, all right, thank you,
You're
ma'am.
welcome.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Appalachian Center for Hope, Mr. John Graham.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is John Graham, and I am a United Methodist pastor, a lawyer, but I serve as a clerk of the Circuit Court of Smith County. So, which is the counterpart, my colleague is Mo Musser. So that's my job in Smith County. It's good to be with you tonight. On behalf of the Appalachian Center for Hope. Have two of our board members here with us as well, Joey Carrico, who just passed that out. He's the Director of Legal Aid, and Cindy Bryant, who's also with the Mount Rogers Community Services. The Appalachian Center for Hope is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, and we exist to address the problem of substance abuse in our region. And we're asking for your support for one of the regional cooperative grants from the Opioid Abatement Authority. Similar to what was just requested of you, asking specifically for your authorization for Mr. Bayer to sign a resolution in support of this effort. So you all been to the state hospital, maybe not to be there, but at least you know where it is in Marion. You may or may not know that there's several buildings that are vacant at the state hospital. And one of them formerly was built as a TB building, and then most recently it's been used as a rehab building, but that was over 20 years ago. And so we've gotten substantial support from the federal government in a $650,000 grant that Senators Kane and Warner helped secure for us, as well as from the General Assembly, $50,000 from the General Assembly, and also private support in the amount of $3 million from the Smith County Community Foundation to renovate this building on the grounds of the state hospital. And it will become a residential treatment facility. We're going to have 60-some beds for that purpose. And, you know, if you think about things, when somebody, a lot of people want to be free from their addictions, and think about what they do. They might have detox at one of the various places. Mount Rogers will provide some detox services. But after that, there's not enough, there are too few beds for residential treatment care. So what do you do for after you're clean and after your detox? So we want to provide that. It would be for a 3 to 5 month stay of intensive inpatient residential treatment. And following that, there are other things that need to happen, but that's a gap in services that we have in Southwest Virginia, and we want to meet that gap. I guess I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. What we passed out is our architectural design for the building. The General Assembly passed the legislation which would convey the property to Smith County, and Smith County is going to lease it to the Appalachian Center for Hope. And there's an agency called Bristol Lifestyle Recovery, which we're in negotiations right now to secure them as our treatment provider. But I think you'll see it will be a very nice, attractive building. But what it's going to do is going to help save lives. We have, as you all know, we have a problem in Southwest Virginia, and rather than put our head in the sand, we've got to deal with it. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to entertain them. But if not, we simply ask for your support, not any financial support, but your support for the Cooperative Regional Grant from the Opioid Abatement Authority.
Mr. Graham, what's your service area going to be, or do you have a service area?
It's not defined specifically, but we anticipate that it will be much of Smith County and the surrounding area. So we're expecting it to be Southwest Virginia.
I applaud you for creating bed space on that property, something that unfortunately the state has struggled with doing. So I'm glad to see those buildings being used for something.
Well, it'll be a 12-month renovation project. It's a substantial one. And Mr. Farthing is negotiating the transaction, and I think we're inches away, Scott, from having the deed. But we've been inches away for a few months now. But when that happens, we're going to hit the ground running in 12 months of renovations, and we're opening the building.
Mr. Chairman, I might, Sean Utt sent an email to me and the other county administrators that they are talking with. And basically, he just said that this has been a project that's been in the works since before he even came to Smith County. He talked about the same grant funds they talked about. They're fully in support of this. They think there is a need there, and they think it is a good program. So just wanted to share that with you. There is no local funds requested on this one. As he said, they're applying to the Opioid Abatement Authority on this one. There is a resolution in your board package that there are no local funds. If the board would like, you may go ahead and adopt a resolution, or we can talk about this one later as well.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution that's been prepared for us.
So moved.
Have a motion by Ms. Lawson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a, excuse me, a second by Mr. Smith. Is there any further discussion or questions? All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Burnett?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. So approved. Thank you, Mr. Graham.
Thank you very much. I will add that GALAX passed a resolution last night too, so we're in this together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bear, we had one more.
Yeah, Mr. Carrico with Virginia Legal Aid Society is here, who's conveniently on the other board, so.
Yes, thank you for squeezing me in. I am on, like John said, I'm on the board with him and Sandy of the Appalachian Center for Hope. I'm the director of Southwest Virginia Legal Aid. We have 17 counties. We serve from Montgomery County all the way down to Lincoln. I'm from Wythe County originally, so I told John on the way up there, I was like, I haven't been in front of Wythe County's board yet. I've been in front of the Tazewells and I've been in front of Wythe's, of course, before. I'm going to Lee County next week, asking different counties to sign on to our project. If you have information about Project Pathfinder, and it's in the same vein as what Megan and John just said, and about the substance use disorder problem we have, the eviction process we have in Southwest Virginia. And I've been trying to get legal aid to be more involved in the fight against substance use disorder. I think lawyers, we only do civil law, we don't do criminal law. But lots of these people who are in recovery need a lawyer to help some of the problems that they have. Legal aid, we file bankruptcies, we do divorces, we get their licenses back, we can help do expungements for something they weren't convicted of, and things like that, and help them remove barriers to employment, help them with housing if they have an issue like that. So we have a part to play there, and it's free legal services. So we've been trying to sign. So we've put our own cooperative partnership grant before the Opioid Authority. We're following, as like Megan said, on April 1st is our deadline. I've already been able to secure some direct distribution funds from Smith County, who will be our fiscal agent, and Russell County. And I'm hoping Wythe and Tazewell County will also contribute and hopefully lead too. We are asking for, if you can provide this direct distribution funds or any other money that you have from the Opioid Authority, any amount would help. You don't have to. We do want your support overall, because that does strengthen our application. But they said that if we get any counties to give monetarily, then it strengthens the application even more. So far, and then legal aid's putting up $45,000 of our own budget too. So we've got about 25% of our budget covered, and so we're just asking the Opioid Authority for the other 75%. I can answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? Mr. Barrett, you provided us with the resolution, but I think it's similar to the Mr. Graham's request, what we have in front of us.
Yeah, there are two options here. The resolution that's in front of you is just supporting the application, but does not include a dollar amount for a direct distribution. If you would like to include a distribution towards it out of any opioid money or out of our general fund or other, we can do so on that, or we can just adopt a resolution and support without any local funds going towards it. If you want to put funds towards it, if you want to discuss it next week.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, like I said before, not everybody up here has had a chance to look at the revenue projection numbers are the carryover funds that are available. So my suggestion would be we take action on the resolution in front of us and then discuss any direct
Next week.
contributions during budget discussions.
Yep.
I'm
I haven't
sure-
had time to look at it, so.
Yeah, I'm sure the gentleman will come back for a check.
Whatever you want.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution of support for the Project Pathfinder project.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Smith, a second by Mr. Burnett. Is there any more questions or discussion on this one? Right, here and now we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Terry?
Aye.
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 Aye,
So approved.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Appreciate you.
thank you.
All right. Anything else under the grant application?
No, sir, thank you very much.
All right, next item on our agenda is we have Mount Rogers Community Services. Ms. Bryant?
First of all, I want to say Mount Rogers is honored to serve the individuals in Wythe County, and we work very hard to meet their needs. One of the most essential functions is to make sure they have employment. Mr. Smith has been very involved in our employment services at IDCs, stable employment and stable housing, and comprehensive services, including emergency services. It's critically important to keeping our individuals with mental health issues stable. And we bought the Trail Motel to duplicate a very successful project that we have in the Galax area, in which we have rented several rooms at an apartment complex in which we have them there. Plus, we rented one of the rooms for staff office, so the staff are there to support those individuals. And they're there with other people that don't have mental illness, and it's going very, very well, that integrated type of setting. We would do the same thing at Trail Motel, in that we have multiple people already there that are not part of Mount Rogers, and we're not asking any of them to leave. And then we will have some units where we'll put someone with severe mental illness in one of the apartments. We will also have an office there for the staff so that they can provide them support, making sure that they not only have stable housing and food, but they also will have stable. You have less police activity, less crime, when people are supported in all aspects of their life, and that's what we're doing. It's not a recovery house. I know some of you were thinking it was a recovery house. We have bought another house for a recovery house, but it's not a Trail Motel. The Trail Motel is to duplicate a very successful project we have of placing individuals with serious emotional disturbance, mental illness, in an apartment, and providing them ongoing supports so that they can live independently in their apartments and also work in the community. We have 24-hour services all the time. They have our numbers. We're very responsive. And these individuals are here anyway and need those supports. Being in the hotel provides them the supports that they can be more successful.
So
I do have some people here that would give you some very specific information on how we've improved the hotel since we bought.
So, Ms. Brown, when we spoke back in December, I mean, we were just in the same facility at the same time. And when I asked you about this, you said it wouldn't be a long-term resident housing. It was just so someone could get back on their feet. Is that not what the conversation we had?
That was for our recovery housing, yes. This is for apartments for those who don't need residential. They do not need residential services. They don't need hospitalization. They just need stable housing.
So you're renting it if I needed that support, I could be there long-term.
Yes.
Okay, so that's kind of different than what I interpret our conversation in December.
Well, that was talking about recovery housing
Okay.
or substance use. These are not individuals with substance use.
Okay.
When did y'all purchase that property?
Kathy's going to come and talk about the specifics of the purchase of the property and what we have done since then to assist with that.
Hi, I'm Kathy Kress. I'm the Director of Operations at Mount Rogers, and specifically over our buildings and grounds. To answer your question, we purchased that property in October of '23 and have been working slowly to make some improvements on that before moving anyone in there. It consists of 6 one-bedroom apartments and 8 efficiency apartments, so which that means a bedroom and a bathroom, and we'll be putting a kitchenette in it. 5 are currently rented, 5 apartments are currently rented, and 3 of the efficiency units are currently rented. We'll keep those people there, we won't be kicking them out or anything like that. Absolutely. I do want to let you know that we will be advertising for a part-time property manager that will be available on site, kind of a superintendent, per se, if something were to go wrong with the apartments, they could very quickly respond to that. And we'll have Sandy mentioned, additional housing staff that will be there, kind of in and out. They're there to support any individuals that we might have move into the facility. Since we've been there in October, we have switched over the efficiencies, or kind of the motel is really what that is, over to county water and sewer. That was completed in February of this year. And the one-bedroom apartments kind of behind the motel, they're already on county water, so we've improved that. We have repaired multiple leaks, replaced multiple water lines. We've replumbed water heaters and installed thermal expansion tanks on those. We've removed, and that's some of the visual things that some of the neighbors might see. We've removed all of the signage that was in front of the motel as well to the side. And then across from Love's truck stop, there was a small sign there. We're in the process of making many electrical upgrades to ensure safety. We have replaced all of the carpet and the efficiencies, and we're in the process of painting all of those as well. And I mentioned that we're putting small kitchenettes into those efficiency apartments. We've also replaced the carpet in the office area, and we're in the process of removing all of the overgrown landscaping and updating that as well to make sure that everything's safe. All of our lights are outside. Any questions on any of that?
So if I'm understanding correctly, there's not a staff member there all the time because the type of people that you have in there are not the type of people that require assistance all the time. Is that
That's correct.
correct? Okay.
These individuals are stable and ready for housing. We just want to provide them the support that they need to stay stable. It's not a recovery or residential facility.
And that's good to hear. You know, I'll just be honest with you, I do take issue that, you know, you purchased this back in October, you had plans for this project, but we don't hear about it until March. You know, there's several concerned residents sitting in this room that maybe if you all had appeared before now, they would have got some of their answers or some of their questions answered, and some of our phones wouldn't have been ringing, and they wouldn't have had to live wondering, you know, is this a recovery house? Is this going to affect our property values? We have meetings, 2nd, 4th Tuesday.
I will come anytime you want me.
Well, apparently, but you didn't. It's, you
I
know.
didn't know it was
so
an
it-
issue, I'm
so
sorry.
Anytime, I mean, anytime any project like this goes on, rumors are gonna fly. And I don't blame them. I would have questions too. It sounds to me, on face value, that it's a very good program. You know, we don't have zoning in Wythe County, so it's not like, we have much choice, but as a funding board, it would have been nice to hear these words before these people got upset. And I think that's the least that we can offer the citizens of Wythe County.
We have other property, and I'll be glad to talk about those at any time you would like. Now, the thing that I have heard from you guys was, don't put a recovery house in a neighborhood. Okay, that's what I heard, and I took that to heart, and we're not doing that. We're not putting any recovery houses in the middle of your neighborhoods. And so, that's what I heard. That's what I heard, and I've been very understanding in that, and we're not doing that.
So, Mr. Ryan, just from my understanding and clarification for everybody that's here, the people that's going to go in here, they've been evaluated, and there's no severe mental illness that requires 24/7 supervision, is that
No,
correct?
they are stable.
Stable, they're ready?
They're
for-
stable and ready for independent
Okay.
living. But we wanted to, because we are doing so well with the Gay Lives Project, having staff, they're low, because they have a mental illness. But it's going really well with Gay Lives, has not had any problems. We wanted to duplicate it. This was a perfect opportunity to do that. And it's integrated. You'll have those with mental illness and those not with mental illness in these apartment complexes. And I don't think you'll be able to tell the difference.
And based on my, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'll say it anyway. Based on my experience with my day job, they may make much better neighbors than what some of these smaller hotels cater to. Is that the politically correct way to say it?
Yeah, probably. You said it better than I would.
Okay.
We have found that we're providing supports to those without mental illness at these apartments right now that really needed some assistance, and we're living in horrible conditions, and we need to clean that up.
So with this process, what is the process to make sure that they're taking all their medications and they're doing what they need to be doing when the supervision's not there?
Where there's going to be staff there every day, Monday through Friday.
What's their hours? Is it going to be like?
It's just during the day.
Okay.
But these individuals have our 24/7 number and can contact us. We have mobile units, and we have a crisis care center, and they'll have access to 24-hour services.
Okay, yeah, when we just, if there's a process that you can share to the residents, I understand why they're here, I would be here as well. Their concern is if somebody's there and they're having issues and they're not taking their medication, it makes it worse, then the residents in that area is gonna have to deal with it if there's no one there to deal with it.
Our staff are,
Mr. Todd is exactly right. These individuals there with the support will be better neighbors than those.
And I guess where my question's coming from on the process, if somebody has a mental issue and they forget to take their medication, they may not have the capacity to call somebody. So we need to make sure that we ensure the safety, not only for your client, but the residents of that area, that everybody's been taken care of, and everybody's safety is first and foremost.
There are, we serve close to 10,000 individuals in our catchment area, and they're in your neighborhoods now, and in your apartment complexes now, and we're providing them supports also. At any time that any of you feel like there's someone that's suffering and needs our assistance, call us, we will be there. My guarantee to you as my staff, 24/7 responsive services is what we will guarantee out of the communities that we serve.
One last question. What's the board schedule, y'all's board meeting schedule, in case some of these residents have questions and would like to address the board?
It's the fourth Monday in the evening. Oh, 1 o'clock.
I was just saying, I thought it was in the middle. Okay. So we can get that information to the residents if they request it.
Fourth Monday.
And I just wanted to mention too, the program that we're talking about as far as being supported is a model where they're continually checking in with the residents, making sure they are taking their medications. Not to say that they won't from time to time. I mean, that will happen. But there's constant communication with the individuals that are served by that program. It may be that they need help with their financial situation. They need somebody to come in and write their checks, or they may need a ride to an appointment, a doctor appointment, or whatever. So the model is for them to come in, check in, and then disperse as they need. So that happens continually throughout the day, throughout the week, and they really are very responsive to the individuals as they need to be.
All right. Does anybody else have any more questions for Ms. Cressel or Ms. Bryant?
So is there a request for, did I miss something as far as a request for financial?
No, this was just informational.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That comes next week.
Just want to make sure.
Is this 14 units? Is that what it is? 14 units?
14 units.
14
Right.
total.
14 units. I'm sorry.
Thank you all for the
Thank you.
information. I think the transparency goes far.
And we'll pass along the information if they need to come and ask additional questions.
Yes.
And there's a very excellent Mexican restaurant located right there. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, moving on the agenda, we have the Burn Justice Assistant Grant. Mr. Baird,
Yeah, be glad to address it, and the sheriff is here if you don't mind if he wants to address it or not, but basically they are looking at applying for a grant to provide increased law enforcement services in the Barron Springs area. This is a request for overtime funding, it is requesting $75,000 in federal funds, $18,346 in local cash match, and then a $66.54 in an in-kind match. Since this does involve a local match, requesting permission, we ran this through Budget Committee, but we were unable to get a recommendation from Budget Committee because we did not have a full crew there, so it's why it's on the full agenda. But basically just a application and request application, since there's a cash match, ask for your all's approval of it. Be glad to answer any questions that you all have. The only comment that I would make of it, they have written the cash grant match as coming from the general fund. Typically, we've handled all overtime funds through the police activity fund. I would request police activity fund to do that out of for the match for it, but I will let you all make the decision on how you'd like to approach that. And Sheriff, if I've left anything out, please let me know.
Is this, both of these, the 18,000 and the 6,600, both of these is what you're asking for?
Yeah, you want to explain the in-kind match, what you're talking about there?
To be perfectly honest with you, I didn't write the grant. The deputy did. I just know it was a 75-25 as far as I know. And we were basing it on our past experiences in that part of the county. You're looking at probably 7 homicides there. He's listed those for you over so many allotted amount of years. And we just think it'd be a good area to put the grant funding to work in. If it's something you want to talk more about, when it comes budget time next week, I'll have him here if you have more questions about the
Mr. Morgan, in my experience, usually the in-kind funding is gasoline and wear and tear on the patrol vehicles. Is what we've used in the past.
That's what my assumption would be as well, yeah. But obviously, anytime you can get a 75-25 grant, that's certainly a good grant, so.
I agree with you with the police activity fund for the 25,000 because I know that's what we've pretty much always done in the past, that overtime comes out of the police activity fund, right? I mean, I hate to see it come out of the general fund if it's, unless there's a reason that I'm missing, so.
Yeah, and I think we need to bring everybody up to speed next week on the activity fund.
Yeah. But I would request just authorization for the county administrator to execute this grant. And just clarification, either police activity fund or general fund for the matching funds.
So,
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Smith, and did your motion clarify which, did you want that in the motion?
For the application, we need to know whether to put that as police activity fund or general funds.
no, we can do the police activity fund, but we'll talk about it.
Okay.
All right.
So I have a motion by Mr. Smith. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Burnett. Is there any more questions or discussion?
I will ask, if you don't mind, to authorize the county administrator or assistant county administrator with that language, because I am gone the next 3 days, and if they want to go ahead and get that application in, he can sign it.
I'll amend my motion.
All right, I have an amended motion. Are you good with that, Mr. Burnett? Is there any more questions or discussion? All right, here and now we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Terry?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Aye.
So approved. Next item is we have an ambulance recommendation from Mr. Hankins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is an item that did not make it in front of the Budget Committee last week, so wanted to bring it to you because it is timely. The town of Blacksburg cycles through ambulances on a regular set schedule, and we've been approached by the dealer that's marketing the vehicle that they intend to take out of service next. It's a 2015 Ford F-450 4x4 ambulance. It's got less than 90,000 miles on it currently, although it is still in service. It has all of its service records, and they indicate there's no major mechanical issues, and it does have a power lift system and stretcher with it that if we were to purchase would cost us approximately $50,000 by themselves. The dealer has a list price on it of $95,000, and new ambulances currently cost us somewhere between $300,000 and $320,000 with comparable equipment on it. Staff estimates that we could operate this as a first-run truck for 5 years or more, depending on our truck rotation as we move into providing emergency medical services. And so what staff would request is we will significantly underspend our emergency services budget this year. We ask for your permission to issue a purchase order for that vehicle. If for some reason it is not suitable or does not meet our needs, we can withdraw that purchase order, but issuing a purchase order would hold that vehicle for us when it's taken out of rotation and refurbished by the dealer. So staff would ask for a purchase order to proceed if that's what you would like for us to do.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Hankins?
I'm assuming that a mechanic has looked at this thing.
So the town of Blacksburg has its own mechanics, and they've provided us with the records showing what they've done to the vehicle. Nothing major mechanically over the years, normal wear and tear. But the dealer will also go through and will check any of the items, and we'll have the vehicle in operating condition if it's delivered to us.
Who is the dealer?
Atlantic Emergency Services out of Roanoke.
So they're going to go over for no additional cost?
That's my understanding, is the $95,000 is delivered cost to us.
And if there's any issues, we can withdraw the...
Absolutely. If it does not meet our expectations, we can withdraw the purchase order and they can sell it to someone else.
Thank you, sir.
It is marked in orange and blue, so it already meets the colors that are used by lead mines and the colors that used to be used by rural retreat, so not a lot would have to be done from a marking standpoint.
And it has all the equipment that makes it okay to
It does. We would have to stock it. We'd have to, put our own oxygen bottle on, a few minor things, but, it would be ready to go when it was delivered to us.
Yeah, it's got the, that Stryker power load system with the cot is,
It's half of it.
it's, do you remember, I forget the last one we bought, but it was,
Last one we bought was around 40,000, and now
Yeah.
they're about 50,000 under state contract.
You can't hardly buy an SUV for 95,000.
It's a risk on used vehicles all the time, but Blacksburg rotates
Yeah.
things out. And so I think,
I think it's a
we
no-brainer.
can, we can take our staff up there to look at it. If we need to take one of our local shade tree mechanics with us or whatever, we can grab that just to look at it and see. I mean, we've had one bad ambulance that we've gotten before that we got a brand new one in trouble, but, looking at the history records of this one, nothing stands out.
And they're going to inspect their new ambulance next week, so it's probably within 3 months of being able to be delivered.
well, the year model and with the 6.7, if it's been, maintenance has been maintained, which I assume Blacksburg has a good preventive maintenance schedule, it should be a good vehicle.
As long as we follow and do similar preventive maintenance.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the purchase order for the purchase of the ambulance.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Morgan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Terry. Is there any questions or discussion any further? All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Burnett?
Aye.
Aye. So approved. Anything else under new business, Mr. Baird, Mr. Hankins?
No, sir.
All right, we'll move on to board reports. We have a Buildings and Grounds Committee report.
The Building and Grounds met on March 4th, 2024, and recommends the following. Approving Umberger Contractors bid of $548,700 for the Franklin Street renovations Phase 3 project, and to amend and appropriate $400,000 to 9000-470247.
All right, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Is there any questions or discussion on that recommendation? Right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Terry?
Aye.
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 So approved.
Second item is amending and appropriating $5,600 to account 43043-443020 to replace the carpet in the Wythe County Health Department. The funds for this are from excess FY23 funds returned to the county from the Health Department.
Again, we do not need a second. Is there any discussion or questions on that recommendation? All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Burnett?
Aye.
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 So approved.
And that was all the Building and Grounds Committee had.
Thank you. We have a Budget Committee report.
Budget Committee met on March 5th, 2024, and recommends authorizing the Department of Social Services to submit a cooperative partnership application to the Opioid Abatement Authority for grant funds to expand evidence-based partnering services for individuals without opioid use disorder, or with opioid use disorder.
Again, come from committee, it doesn't require a second. We do have Miss Ayers and two of her interns here tonight. If anybody has any questions about the application that they submitted, we did receive a packet of information in our board package. So does anybody have any questions or comments on that one? All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Terry?
Aye.
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 So approved. And that was all from the Budget Committee. We'll move on to board time. Mr. Burnett?
So I have received a phone call from Ivanhoe on Kings Road from a
Mr. Burnett, depends on who you was talking to. And he was.
Like me, I'll call them both ways.
And he was concerned with the speeding on his road and the people coming back and forth from the trash dump. And asked if we could reach out to VDOT. I can't remember if this has been brought up recently or not, but.
Did you say Kings?
Kings Road.
Kings Road, okay.
And then the other thing was I've had the community reach out, especially from the Foster Falls Road and the Paintown Road, if the sheriff could help, if they have any patrols in the area and they see the big road tractors going, if you could do anything to assist those, you know, they put up the signs, but they're still having a lot of solar farm issues with the road tractors tearing down their mailboxes and stuff out like that. So they've asked me to reach out for you if you could, you know, while you're in the area. I'd appreciate it. And that's all I have, Chairman.
All right, Ms. Lawson.
I have nothing at this time.
Mr. Cook.
Well, since the sheriff is here, some time ago they put speed limit signs out there on Wesley Highway going in front of the, when you go in front of the cemetery and it drops to 35 up there. I live out there. I get on that road all the time and people just fly. And today, when I went down there, there was a deputy, finally had somebody pulled over. So I appreciate that. And other than that, have we done anything on figuring out something for trash?
I got.
Oh, okay. Then I will pass my time to you. I'm done.
Mr. Smith.
I got several things, Mr. Chairman.
That's been a couple of weeks before I had any microphone sensitive.
Yeah, so, Mr. Byer, I know that we had talked about the bus station at exit 86, and I know we don't have zoning. And you were going to reach out to see if there was any opportunities for us to put any kind of restrictions or guidelines on that, so if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I just checked on what information they have for what VDOT requires, and basically it's just commercial entrance, and they have typically been locating on properties that already have commercial entrances, so obviously nothing there. Without zoning, there is not really anything else that we have that's any controls or anything that gives us ability to locate. I know that they've moved throughout various places in the county over the years, and currently 86 is home. So
okay.
They keep getting closer to you,
Yeah, get them on across the line. Second thing I got, Mr. Barry, if you can give us an update, where are we on the agreement with the Fort Chisholm Library?
Was it Buildings and Grounds Committee or Budget Committee? Budget Committee, who did I share? Anyway.
I think it was Buildings and Grounds.
Yeah, anyway, I shared it with committee last week. Mr. Farthing has put together a draft of it. I shared it with the committee. I will go ahead and send it out to the full board. Wanted to make certain we were okay with our commitment side of it before we sent it on to the other parties to make certain they were okay with it. But we have reviewed it, and it's a general layout, and then I'm sure they'll want to make some changes on their side of what goes in with it. But it is in process.
All right, thanks, sir. The next four items is going to be VDOT related. So the intersection of Lots Gap and Walk Furnace Road, the big dip has returned.
Okay.
It keeps falling in there, so if we can look at that. I mean, Mr. Morgan can tell you, if you go off that side of the mountain, it's going to throw you off into the ditch line. So we need to get that taken care of. Potholes just throughout the district, not only my district, but everybody else's district. If we can get VDOT, I know the weather's starting to break. We can get that looked at. Calico Lane is down off of 52, or Fort Chisholm Road there, about 2 miles below the high school. Did we ever get anything from VDOT, what we could do there for the?
I have not seen any response back to them on that. I will check with them on that again.
Okay. And then the next three I'm going to group together because it's the same issues. So I'll talk about Carter's Ferry Road, Stillwell Drive, and Connors Valley Drive. All three of those roads, potholes are just, they haven't been dealt with, and I know VDOT said it was due to the weather, but with the weather breaking, we need to make sure that we get some grade work in those areas and get these potholes filled in and ditch lines recut.
Okay.
That's all I've got, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Mr. Morgan?
A couple things. Can we get the current information from the Apex Center about ticket sales?
Yes.
All that stuff?
I just got information literally today from them, and I'm waiting for backup information from some other from them.
Also, I don't know how y'all get this data, but food and hotel taxes, how do you?
We can give you, on the monthly financial reports, there is 2 sections in there that show the motel tax and meals tax that have come in. The commissioner cannot provide us individual reports of what, the restaurants do, but they can, the information in there, the overall information.
Also, I know at one point we talked about the trash collection agreement.
Yes.
What's the status of that?
We talked about it in Buildings and Grounds Committee last week. Requested some additional information from them, and that will be coming forward for the board at the March 26th meeting. It has gone out to bid, and the bids have been received on it.
Okay. That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Terry?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. 2 things. Mr. Bear, the trash collection center on 52, 2 huge potholes on the entrance as you turn in. I had a couple of people call and complained about that. And the last thing I've got is just a little bit of scripture. I think it's fitting for today's time. It comes from Luke 22:36, and I won't read the whole scripture, but in closing, this is Jesus talking to his disciples prior to the Last Supper. He said, if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. I think that's pretty appropriate for the times we live, and that's all I've got, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir. I've sent everybody the letter that I received from the Secretary of Transportation about the Gleaves Road Bridge. I did receive a joint letter from Delegate Arnold, Senator Hackworth, and Senator Stanley that basically said that they met with the Transportation Secretary and VDOT Commissioner about the delays with the project, and assured us that they're making every effort to stay on timeline. So I know that's Mr. Morgan's district, but if you travel that area, it's everybody's problem. So if you do get any calls, let them know that we've done our part. Mr. Cook brought up the trash pickup. We had a jail meeting last Friday, and I once again expressed my displeasure, the board's displeasure about not being able to get trustees from the jail. Again, they reassured me that it wasn't for lack of trying, but the state continues to take all the long-term inmates at a very fast rate, and they really don't have anybody with short-term sentences that are appropriate or that they would feel comfortable letting out to work. But I did talk to Mr. Baird and maybe Mr. Smith last week. There is a gentleman, if you've been on the service road, that oddly enough retired from jail, and apparently he's bored in retirement because he's took it upon himself to single-handedly pick up the service road. And I don't know, Mr. Smith, how many bags of trash would you say that?
A lot. You go from exit 77 all the way to Kent's Lane.
Yeah. And
so,
so I talked to Mr. Baird and Mr. Smith, and if we can get a hold of this gentleman and he's interested in a part-time job, it'd be my suggestion we hire him, we give him the van with the flashing lights and
Turn him loose.
turn him loose.
Yeah, boy.
I mean, that's,
And
you know,
VDOT's given me contacts from River North and Bland and others to see if, and we can check and see if this gentleman that might be able to be certified or whatever to run this and take some of those prisoners. If not, at least, Even if we could work with other, what's the other type of sentencing, whether it's.
Well, and
or whatever.
that was one other thing that we talked about at the regional jail meeting. And I knew Grayson, had a day reporting program. I didn't realize that Giles County has one, Pulaski County either has one or, is looking at implementing one. And basically, people that get short sentences, usually for misdemeanor crimes, instead of paying the per diem to house them at the regional jail, they're assigned to the day reporting program where they check in every day, and if they're not gainfully employed, then the day reporting system can assign them an area of roadway to pick up trash. And the thought process is that the money you save on the per diem by not having to house them at Dublin, you can put that toward paying a staff member, either full-time or part-time, to oversee the program. Mr. Sweet sent me a similar program that they've done in Pulaski before with actual jail trustees. But next week with budget discussions, I think it might be worth, especially with the per diem at the jail being what it is. And I know, I can't remember it off the top of my head, I know you've got it burned in.
I have 1.5 million in burned in my head because that's what it costs us a year annually, 36.
Yeah, so 36.55 a day, every day that, somebody's not going to jail for, a misdemeanor, and we're certainly, the program's not designed for violent, offenses, but, it's an alternative sentencing, and, it might be something we look at. Every county that was up there, they had really good success with it. I think some of the counties actually ended up hiring some of the people after they got out of the program to be county employees with, buildings and grounds. So, it's worth, to me, I think it's worth taking a look at. But, so,
Anything.
Yeah, and we definitely could use a few hundred people for about a week. So, but that's all I've got. So, but anyway, all right. Is anything else to come before the board, Mr. Bear?
No, sir.
Mr. Hankins?
We'll try to work with the board to schedule some time. I know you've requested some sort of special event to celebrate our new radio system.
I'm sorry, let me revert back to my supervisor time. Thank you. Where are we at right now, 2 million?
A little under. I'd have to go back and add the numbers up.
We've rolled out this new radio system for all the public safety agencies from Barron Springs to Rury Tree, including the town of Wythe. I believe it was yesterday, they delivered a portable radio to each school building in Wythe County, and they met with the administration. These radios have 2 channels. They have the main sheriff's office channel that goes directly to dispatch. Then they have the school bus channel where they can communicate with the school bus. They tested every one of these radios, every one of them crystal clear. I've yet to find a dead spot in Wythe County. Mr. Hankins, I don't know if you've heard of any problems.
I worked with Brian Dunford and Derek Thompson and Chuck Parnell on Saturday to install all the antennas and the radios in the fire trucks and ambulances. We finished about 9:30 Saturday night, and I was driving back from Barron Springs on Castleton to my house, and I was getting radio traffic in some of those really steep little cuts around the creek there, and I thought if I could get it there, I can probably get it most anywhere in the county.
I went to Sam's Club in Bluefield Saturday, And just out of curiosity, I put my portable in the car, and I was on 460 in Bluefield listening to our dispatch crystal clear. I went to Roanoke the other week. I come back, I could hit the repeater from the exit of the 114 on a portable. So, you know, it's absolutely amazing. Thank Mr. Parnell, thank Matt, Brian Duffer, Derek. I mean, it's ProCom. It's, you know, the teachers, principals, and there's a lot of these schools that before we went to this system, you couldn't talk on the radio in the school. And now each one of these schools have a portable, if something happens, even though there's a SRO there, they're right there. They've got the bus channel. I've talked to the town PD. The town always had a dead spot, oddly enough, down here, what I call dead man's curves, and 98% of the people in Wythe County call it dead man's curve, but they never could get out. And they literally, that was the first place they drove to, and they're like, man, it's great. I sat in my basement and talked to Brian Bard on the TAC channel at his house. I talked to another deputy that lives on Castleton Road from my basement to his house on portable. So, you know, I hope these schools never need these radios. I hope these firefighters never need these radios. I hope these paramedics never need these radios. I hope the police, the deputies never need these radios. But by God, we've got them a radio system. If they need help, somebody's going to hear them.
That's right.
So I'll yield back.
In order to celebrate that, you'd ask for a special event. We'll circulate, try to get an evening where we can do a ceremony and try to get some media folks here to celebrate the new radio system and some of the things that it can do.
All right, Mr. Farthing, you have anything?
I do not. Thank you.
Ms. Collins, you have anything? All right, nothing coming before the board. We'll be recessed until Monday
8:30.
at 8:30. What's the date? March 18th?
18th, I believe.
March 18th at 8:30.